Most leaders have a fundamental misunderstanding of what it actually means to lead other people. And this misunderstanding causes a tremendous amount of headache and heartache because it basically acts as a shaky foundation to build their leadership careers. Welcome to Leadership Unplugged, where we show you what leadership really sounds like. In this episode, we'll dive deep into what this misunderstanding is and how to fix it so you can accelerate as a leader. And I used to struggle with this problem. In fact, I learned about this because when I got promoted, I had 16 people across 3 states. I was stretched very thin, and I thought my job was to show up everywhere I needed to, show up everywhere to have an impact. And I was told, be present at the meetings, close the deals, crack your laptop side by side with them, get boulders out of their way internally so they can go be rock stars. That's what I thought my job was. And this was reinforced because the team I was promoted onto had a bunch of titans on it, like rock stars that I really wanted to emulate. And as I got to know them and I asked them how they did so well, what I saw was they went to every meeting, they did everything, they involved themselves in every situation. They were hyper-present leaders. That problem right there caused them to be stretched thin and underserve their people. Knowing what leadership really is the solution to this problem. Let me tell you how. Let's start with a fundamental understanding of what leadership is. In action, the definition of leadership is to influence somebody towards an advantage. It's not your vision, it's not your organization, it's not your rah-rah speech giving, it's not your willingness to lead from the front. Those are nice things. Please don't hear me poo-pooing those. Those are nice, but the fundamental action of leadership, the moment when you are in the verb of leading, is when you're influencing somebody towards an advantage. That's your primary job as a leader. And that has some big words involved in it. To influence somebody means to be the proximal cause of change. That means they wouldn't have done it without you inserting yourself or influencing them in that direction. They might not like that. Let's be clear. Sometimes being the proximal cause of change causes disruption. People don't like to be disrupted. You might get resistance from your people. In fact, you might look back over your recent history and observe that if you haven't been somewhat disruptive, you might not be leading that effectively. The first most important word is influence. The second is advantage. Whose advantage? Theirs. To influence someone towards your advantage is called manipulation. Influencing someone towards an advantage that's good for them and good for the company is our primary job as a leader. This is what we're here to do. Now, that yields 2 outcomes that we're looking for. When I influence people towards an advantage, what should it do? Well, it should develop the talent of the people around me that I've been entrusted to maintain and grow and help their careers, and it should hold them accountable to getting the mission accomplished, whatever the mission is in your organization. Your job is to influence people towards an advantage so that you develop talent and so that they are accountable to getting the things done that need to happen inside of the organization. So if we go back to the solution we've been using, which is inserting ourselves into every situation, being hyper present and active, we can notice we're undermining this entire process. In fact, we're not developing the talent because we keep solving everybody else's problems for them. And because we're inserting ourselves into solving the problems and being at the meetings and all of those things, we're actually artificially limiting the acceleration of our organization. We're becoming a bottleneck in the process. Being hyper present does not align with the actual definition of leadership or what your responsibilities are as a leader. Hey, if you're liking this episode, if you like learning what real leadership sounds like, take a second, subscribe to the channel, and follow us every week for more episodes. Now, when you are influencing someone towards an advantage, when you are developing their talent, when you are holding them accountable to accomplishing the mission or the goal or the objective, you're using your communication skills. It's all about what you say and how you say it in that moment that allows you to be an effective leader. That's what it means to be an excellent leader. Again, it's not your vision, your rah-rah speech, your charisma, your friendly nature. It's none of that. It's not your empathy or your organization. Again, all of those are positive, but that doesn't really influence things nearly as much as what you say and how you say it. Your focus is on saying the right things in the right way at the right time so that you develop talent and so that they get the job done. That means you don't need to be at every meeting. You actually need to just prepare them to be successful in those meetings. You don't need to remove every obstacle that's out of their way. In fact, it's going to be really beneficial for them to learn how to remove their own obstacles internally or externally. So you can help them problem solve and come up with their ideas and solutions and contribute to them that allows them to go solve that problem. You don't need to be consistently giving them feedback. You need to be consistently getting them to hear your feedback. This subtle shift in your perspective and your focus on what am I saying and how am I saying it? And is it the most effective way to develop them or to get them to be accountable to doing the job? That's what's going to move the needle for you as a leader. And the good news is you can get better at this. The underlying truth of this whole situation is you can get better at leadership. You're not born with it, you're not born without it. And it's not vision or organization that you need to learn. It's not your interviewing skills, your empathy, none of that. That's all important. But you can get better at what you say and how you say it. You can practice that. In fact, if you've lived through it a lot, you'd probably be really good at it. That's actually what we do in my academy is we help people practice the most difficult conversations they need to have as a leader. Now, you can learn these things on the job, but remember, the whole goal, the whole way you learn here is getting feedback from this process. That's how talent is developed. So when you go practice this, when you go practice saying something new or trying something different, you got to get feedback to know if it worked or not. And you probably don't have a good way for you to get feedback. That means that's why it can take 30 years for someone to become a good leader. We see someone who's been in leadership for 20, 30 years. We assume they're good at it because, man, they've just gotten so much feedback over that timeline. That's how you get better at being a leader. You change what you say and how you say it so that you are more effective. That's what's going to level you up. That's what's going to allow you to influence people towards an advantage. And the great news is, again, you're not born with it or without it. Sometimes people feel like they're not naturally charismatic, or they're not outgoing, or they don't like to give big speeches, or they don't like to be the center of attention. All of that's actually really helpful because your job isn't to do any of those things. It's to develop the people on your team, to hold them accountable to getting the job done, and to do so by influencing towards them advantage by controlling what you say and how you say it. So look, you may be like I was. You may be like I was. You may have been doing everything incorrectly. You may be inserting yourself into all of the decisions or meetings or closes or whatever part of the process and feeling like you had to be involved or you weren't a good leader. I'm here to unshackle you from that, to unplug you from that, to free you from that perception. There's only 3 things you need to do to level up as a leader dramatically. Number 1, recognize what your real job is. Your real job is to develop the talent you've been entrusted with and to hold them accountable to getting the job done, not to do it yourself. You do that by influencing them towards an advantage, and you'll do that better if you focus on what you say and how you say it. And you can practice it. Step 1, change your perception. Step 2, start saying different words better. Step 3, practice them beforehand. You can practice in the shower, in the car. You can practice with a peer or with a boss, though admittedly that's extra challenging. You could join one of our programs where you get to practice and get incredible feedback. The whole point, though, is go and practice it. I'm going to challenge you here. Who do you need to go speak differently to? Just take a second right now. My challenge to you, take a second right now and recognize a piece of feedback you need to give, a meeting you need to get yourself out of, somebody you need to prepare to take over something else so you don't have to do it. Take a second and jot it down and go take action on that. Go have a different conversation with them where you focus on what you say and how do you say it to get them to do it well and to hold them accountable to it. If you go do that, you'll level up your leadership dramatically. If this has been helpful for you, if you enjoy the hard-hitting truths and the unplugged nature of learning what real leadership sounds like, subscribe. And every week we'll bring you great new content to help you accelerate your journey as a leader.